Okay, there we go. That's better. Ugh. Hello guys. Right. I will wait for some folk to arrive. Hello! Hello guys. Right, so this is going to be a wee cosplay advice live stream. I'm going to discuss different sort of ways of doing cosplay, the kind of benefits of them, my kind of experiences with cosplay for different sort of purposes, be it a Comic-Con or a kids' party or the live streams that we do here on Sundays. Because I think they all have different merits and they all have different, like, everyone cosplays differently, everyone is a different person, everyone has different passions, but also the experience can be very different. Different convention experiences have been different depending on what character I'm doing and how I've done that character. So if you've got any questions about cosplay that you'd like to ask, or if you are a cosplayer in your own right, let me know and we can discuss it. I decided to do this in cosplay. I decided to do the live stream in cosplay if we're talking about cosplay. But I decided to do my laziest and most iconic cosplay, which is obviously what I'm known for on this account now. I considered doing my Hawkeye one, because obviously this account used to be Hawkeye of Hawk Hill. So this is Fred from Scooby-Doo. Nice, I'm glad. Yeah, no, this is like this one. So I'll get back to why this costume works so well as a cosplayer, like, and why it's also kind of cheating. Because do I have any experience in foam? Foam is a really good example. So actually, I'm going to answer that question right now because that's a fantastic question. So when it comes to foam, for example, say you make armor. A really good example is my Dr. I'll show you. I'll actually go through to where I demonstrate, because that's probably easier. So two good examples of foam are my Iron Man suit here, and also my Dr. Octopus tentacles, which are made out of pool noodles. My major advice is before you paint it, your foam, for whatever reason, especially if you want it to look like metal, rubber paint it first. Use that thick rubber paint, because that, if you just spray paint right onto foam, the paint, or even like paint, the paint's going to eat it up. The paint is truly, it's just going to eat up, but you're going to get those holes. What is that phobia called about, like, the holes, the tiny little holes? That's what you're going to get. If you see there, the tentacles, so that's like foam sheets, if that makes sense, that I've cut up for those bits, and then this bit's just the pure pool noodle. Both bits are rubber painted, but you can see the texture difference. Porous, I don't know if you can see that, compared to the bit that's been rubber painted. Second bit of advice, once you've painted it, I recommend either, like, say you're going for metal, like trying to make it look like metal, give it imperfections. Give it an undercoat of like silver or gold, and then give it imperfections. Make it look scratched up. Funnily enough, the more imperfections you do, the more realistic and the more perfect it's going to look. It's really weird. Because nothing, like if you look at like the back of your phone, or if you look at metal, especially if you're looking at battle armor, if you think about battle armor, it's not going to be in pristine condition, and it's not going to keep its paint well. If it's if you want your cosplay to tell some kind of story, especially with like armor. So in that case, rubber paint it, then paint it whatever colors you're doing, but then on all the edges, what you want is a dry brush of either silver or gold or whatever color works, and also maybe some rust colors, you know, browns, oranges, depending on what kind of look you're going for, how pristine you want your character to be. Say you're doing something that's sort of apocalyptic looking, you're going to want more rust, more damage, more distressed look, and that goes for like the undersuit as well. You want that to be a bit distressed looking. You want maybe the boots to be distressed, so you want to match it to everything. So that's my advice. But the great thing about foam is it's light. You hear horror stories about people doing their first cosplay and they've got like shield, and they're made out of wood, or they're made out of those heavy LARP shields that have sort of solid cores to them. Those are great for some purposes, but for cosplay purposes, like they're going to be heavy. Foam is at least lighter, and therefore you get away with it. It's going to be more fun to carry around throughout the con. You're not going to exhaust yourself, and you get some really good effects. And also it's more malleable to a different shape. So if you are crafting with it, it's going to do more of what you want, I guess. So yeah, there's my advice. Rubber paint it first. That's going to prime it, and then that's also going to make it easier to paint on top of and look better. Add variations in the colour, use like metallic paints, and use imperfections. Use a dry brush for all the edges. You'll be amazed at how effective that is. Also, that same tip works. Say, for example, you have a cheap toy that you want to make look a bit better. So actually, this one's actually not that bad. Like, this one already has... This is just a cheap plastic pirate sword that Connor gave me. But it's already actually got imperfections, so it immediately comes to life more. Yeah, oh, brilliant. Base... Yeah, no, I'm glad that helped. I have worked with foam a couple of times. I did, full disclosure, I didn't make the Iron Man suit, but I did paint it. So all my advice still there, absolutely. Absolutely holds. But yeah, as I say, imperfections. So you can see that immediately that looks better than say if it was plain. But anyway, if you say you take a cheap toy sword, scuff it up, also if you are painting anything like plastic, a good example is this that I'm working on right now. So I bought this and it was unpainted and everything. So first of all, what I did was use a primer on it, but because it's plastic, 3D prints are usually kind of rough already, so you don't need to sandpaper as much. But I'll show you I'll show you an example of what happens if you don't sandpaper. Again, my flat is an education. This is what happens if you don't sandpaper plastic and make it rough. The paint will just fully flake off. No matter how much varnish you put on that to try to seal it on, that's going to peel off. So that is why you want to really rough up plastic as much as you can before you prime it, and always prime it, paint it, imperfections, and then varnish it. You can get matte or gloss varnishes, and that's going to protect it, especially if you're in Scotland or somewhere rainy and you're going to be standing outside in the pissing rain waiting to get in the convention centre. You don't want all your hard work to wash off in the rain. So yeah, those are my bits of advice there. Great question. I was actually going to get onto that with when it came to the actual crafting of cosplays. But I'm glad you brought that up. Fantastic. Right, have I missed any? Plastic or metal helmets? Yeah, so making like this helmet and this helmet are actually metal for reference. So they are, but that I got those as more display items. They are extremely heavy, especially the Captain Cutler diving helmet. That's a full-on antique diving helmet, or a recreation of a unique, an antique one. Anyway, I don't know if it actually be functional if you try to actually use it, but it does. But it weighs what you'd expect it to, and it's incredibly heavy. So when we had that at the con, we had to be very careful putting it on and off people's heads. You don't want to wear that for a con, okay? That's why you want something 3D printed, like the black bat mask I just showed you. My Hawkeye helmet is 3D printed. Yeah. So, thank you for the likes, guys. So yeah, there's my advice there. So I'm actually going to backtrack a little bit and talk about, say you're either an experienced cosplayer or just starting out for the first time, and you decide, right, I want to cosplay. First thing you want to do is decide what character you're going to be. And that's going to kind of depend... that's going to depend on a few things. That's going to depend on what event it's for. Like, you know that if you're doing a kids' party and they say, I want it to be Star Wars themed, obviously you're going to be doing a Star Wars cosplay. But if you're doing Comic-Con, all bets are off. If you're doing Halloween, all bets are off. You can do literally whatever you want. In that case, best advice. Yeah, I'm doing good vibes, thank you. So, Kip, are you revealing your kinks? Oh, for God's sake. Your first cosplay was man, that is a... Jesus Christ, I'm meeting some folk. Wow, that is an impressive and ambitious first cosplay. That's amazing. So did you make that or did you buy it? Because I'm just curious about talking about either, but that is a really cool cosplay to do for your first cosplay. That's wild. I genuinely think my first... Like, I'm going to say my first cosplay was for Fred, but that's because I was 5, and I was probably dressing up as other characters before that. I just simply can't remember. The reality is I've been dressing up since I was a kid. I just never stopped. That's incredible. Yeah, that's the thing. There's no shame in buying things. There's no shame. I bought that, and then I painted it myself. I bought the entire Iron Man suit, painted it. That's awesome. That's wild, though, that you made the rest of it. For a first cosplay, that's super ambitious. We're going to talk about that in a second, like, the difference between a cosplay like this and a cosplay like Arkham Knight. Because there are massive differences in both the craftsmanship and also the experience. So, when you're deciding what to cosplay, and say you've got free reign, obviously the obvious answer is cosplay what you want. Cosplay something you're really passionate about. Cosplay the thing you're most passionate about at the time. It takes a special level of hyperfixation to finish a cosplay, especially if you're making it or investing in it. It takes a lot of ambition to get that done. So you're going to really want to focus on what you're really passionate about. However, another option is also work out with your friends, if you're all going to the same event, if you want to do a group costume. There are a lot of advantages to that. It's a pain in the bum to organise, so you need someone who's maybe a bit autistic like myself, who's willing to do that hyperfixating and the organising. I don't have a spicy page. Jokey part, I did once consider it, because I thought I could do funny stuff. I would make it more comedic in nature, because I'm like a bit overweight and I'm not that hot, but I thought I could do a funny, sexy cosplay thing, or lewd ones. I just can't risk it. I work with kids. I have a PVG, and it shouldn't matter if they're two completely separate things, but it takes one parent to find it, and suddenly they don't want to hire you for the kids' party. It's an annoying thing. Yeah, no, I've bought plenty of cosplays, and I usually buy elements of mine and then modify them, so, but anyway, so yeah, that, right now we're planning to do a Bat Family group cosplay and a Lord of the Rings group cosplay. And with the Bat Family one, that's a lot to organise, that's a lot of characters, so choose something that you're all kind of passionate about, or choose something that you, everyone can kind of get into, and get into their characters. Oh, brilliant, and enjoy, Alfie, I hope you enjoy your night, that sounds awesome, man. Darth Vader, oh, that's so cool. That's awesome vibes. Those are good good iconic characters. And you must get a really good response with those characters because they are so iconic and they are so recognisable. That's a big benefit. That's why I like this cosplay. As lazy as it is, this costume gets recognised really easily. Everyone's growing up with Scooby-Doo and everyone recognises it, and it's really simple to do. But anyway, so let's say you have decided you're going to choose a character that you're really interested in. The other consideration I've heard is some people don't... So some people don't want to cosplay overdone characters, and some people don't want to do characters that won't get recognised. So, and I understand both those mindsets. So there was this whole thing... you used to cosplay, again, great choice, Luke Skywalker, that's such a good choice, again, so many people growing up with Star Wars, it means so much to everyone. Star Wars is a really good one for conventions because there's always lots of Star Wars cosplayers, so there's always a really nice community element. Yes, the Star Wars fandom can be a bit toxic, but generally at cons it's really friendly, and yeah, that's just a great experience. I did Star Wars for a couple of cons ago, but I will talk about the mistakes I made when doing that costume, but that's completely on me. That's nothing to do with the choice of costume. That was just well, kind of but yeah, so there was this whole thing about girls doing Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad, and I don't know why that got so much flack, but people overdoing, and I'm using that in air quotes, because there's no such thing as an overdone cosplay. There just isn't. I'm going to talk about why doing overdone or popular cosplays is a good idea in a second, especially at a convention. Like Deadpool's a really good example, Spider-Man's a really good example. I don't know why these people didn't get flack. Again, a lot of criticisms in the cosplay community and the things with is deep-rooted in things like misogyny. That's one of the criticisms. But anyway, say you want to do Harley Quinn, but you're worried, oh, loads of people do Harley Quinn. Good. A, because people love that character. B, because other people will be doing it, and therefore it is an immediate icebreaker. If you think about your con experience, one of the nicest things that can happen is someone coming up to you and asking, can I get a photo? Or making you friends at cons. Those are the nicest experiences you can have. And part of making that experience easier is having a costume that breaks the ice. Superheroes, Disney characters, supervillains. Because there's plenty of people doing those characters, you're immediately going to find people with costumes that are the same character, and you're immediately going to find people whose costumes match yours. So if you have a Harley Quinn, you're going to find a Poison Ivy or a Joker or whatever. If you are doing a princess, you might find your Disney prince. If you're doing a superhero, you might find a villain. You get my point. Okay, so... lots of people were taking photos. Yeah, that's awesome. Again, Arkham Knight's an interesting one because it's like, it is a less cosplayed element of a very cosplayed community, if that makes sense. Like, DC characters are very cosplayed, and yet I've not actually seen many people do Arkham Knight, and therefore you're going to stand out. A good example on my side of doing that is Kit Fisto from Star Wars. A very obscure character from a very popular thing. And there's something beneficial to that as well when choosing the character, is not many people will be doing it. So there is that flip side. I know I've just spouted the reasons why you should do a character that lots of people do. But say, okay, let's say you're Deadpool and you see another Deadpool. How much fun is that? Like, that's an immediate, you both share that passion for that character. You're immediately going to be able to make conversation much more easily. Flip side is, let's talk about obscure characters. So Arkham, as you mentioned, Arkham Knight, not many people do. Kit Fisto. Another one I've done is Thunderbirds, okay? And you're not going to get many people doing those characters. Which means people will be more impressed if they recognize it. Say you do a really obscure cartoon character, or a really obscure character from lore. Not many people recognize it. The people who do are going to get a real kick out of it. And you can have really lovely interactions with that. Downside is, if no one does ask you for photos, if no one does recognize your costume, it can be a little disheartening. So you have to kind of mentally prepare yourself for what kind of, like, if you're like kind of antisocial or kind of a bit nervous about people coming up to you, then maybe it's a good thing, like, for you. But yeah, oh no, like, cosplays are a hard thing to transport. That's absolutely fair. But yeah, so yeah, you have to sort of mentally prepare yourself for if people might not recognize your costume, or if you're picking a character that's less popular. So I did Flynn Rider, rather than a more popular Disney character. And I think if I had a Rapunzel, people would have sort of clicked who it was. But it was a big difference from when I did Fred from Scooby-Doo, because even though at that particular con I didn't have the rest of the gang, it was immediately recognized. I had the Scooby toy, it was immediately recognizable who I was. And again, another benefit to doing kid-friendly characters, and again, this depends on what con... You've got to consider what kind of con experience you're going to have. But say you have a character that kids recognize, that kids love, Spider-Man. My friend did Spider-Man one year, and it was his first time really cosplaying at one of his cons, and I was like, heads up, I know you're not sort of as into, like, well, like doing the kids' parties and things like that, and I know you're a bit more antisocial, or like not antisocial, but shy. I said, heads up, you're going to have kids coming up to you. It's Spider-Man. And also, yeah, you do. It's amazing the confidence it can give you. That's a really astute point, Fives. You make a very, very good point. Yeah, absolutely. It gives you confidence. Capes give you confidence. Who knew? That's why these characters all wear capes. To hell with Edna Mode saying no capes. They give you confidence. Wear capes. But being a warning, they will get trapped and yanked on. So, you know the real... You know Frank Welker? I have a photo with Frank Welker up there. I absolutely love Frank Welker. I can't believe you. That's so exciting. If you see him, let him know that I absolutely love him, and it was a dream come true to meet him at the con. That was so exciting. Yeah. We both work on transfer. That's so exciting. Well, I hope everything goes well, but that used to be, well, that's amazing. Well, if you get a chance, say that Paul from the Scottish Scooby Gang absolutely had a blast meeting him, and that was an absolute dream come true for him to come to Scotland a couple of years ago, and would love to meet him again. That was fantastic. What a saint he was. He signed my ascot to the other Fred, without me asking. He was just such a lovely guy, and because him and I would discuss it, because my friend was Scooby, and we were asking, like, oh, when did you take over? We couldn't remember when he took over as the role of Scooby, because obviously he's been doing Fred since the beginning, and he not only answered our question during our photo opportunity, but demonstrated the voices. Like, he was so energetic, and so just absolutely lovely, absolutely fantastic. Not for lack of trying, for it. That's awesome, man. That's so cool. Oh man, you guys have had some absolute awesome experiences. Yeah, we definitely should. At some point, I would love to do live streams where we talk to people who've worked in these, mediums and stuff like that. Obviously, there's a lot that can't be discussed because of NDAs and all that good stuff. But the things that can be discussed, I'd love to get to know the art of voice actors and stuff like that. Like, that's awesome. So, Epic Voice Guy, if you ever want to do a live stream where we talk about voice acting, that would be awesome. Because I genuinely want to hear more about that. So understanding the kind of con experience you want and the kind of con experience you're likely to have will impact your character. People get a real kick out of characters that they've grown up with, and also group costumes. A good example is Teen Titans. My friend and I did Beast Boy, which I hadn't seen at the time until I got asked to be Beast Boy. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to commit. I'm going to be green. I'm going to do the pointy ears. And she did Raven. We met. Not only did we meet the voice actor who plays Cyborg, Carrie Payton, and he wore my arm cannon that I made, but we met up with people who were Robin and Starfire, so we got some really awesome group costumes, group photos done. Loads of kids came up to us. I'm the announcer of Marvel Snapper was characters in... You worked on Hawkeye? Hawkeye is my favourite superhero. You worked on Hawkeye? God damn, that's so amazing. That is so amazing. And you know Carrie and Scotty? Oh my god. Wow, I really need to pick your brain at some point. That is so cool. Thank you for joining tonight, John. Yeah, I'm going to come back to the con experience of meeting folk. But anyway, so yeah, if you are up for like kids recognizing you, kids coming up to you, asking for photos, do a kid-friendly character. Obviously, the flip side, if you're doing someone like Negan, or someone from The Boys, or one of these like adult shows, you're obviously not going to get that, and that's great for some and not great for others. Yes, so... That's so cool. That's so cool, man. I'm so jealous. That's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, it depends what con experience you want. Group costumes are fun. As I say, they're really hard to organise, especially if people don't sort of put in the effort that you do. But if you find a group that do put in the effort, obviously, a good example is the Scooby Gang. My Scooby Gang turned up time and time again to be absolutely incredible. And then we actually got the experience to be at Capital Sci-Fi Con at a table meeting people. We were meant to have the Mystery Machine. It was a whole thing that fell through. But we got really lucky. And again, people from all ages came to us because we were the Scooby-Doo gang. And because that's transcended generations. That was such a good experience. So you get people like me, who are massive man children, and you get folk who are like on the spectrum, and therefore Scooby-Doo is like their hyperfixation, like me. You get kids who are just experiencing it for the first time, and you get people who've just grown up with it and are now as old as the show itself. So that is absolutely awesome. Sorry, I'm just... Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, my mum asked me, what do you think is the correlation between autism and cosplay? And I'm like, it's got to be real high, because no one spends that much time doing foam armor unless they're a little bit hyperfixated. Yeah, that's interesting, John. Relationship with weight and appearance because there is that shitty contingent of people who will be like, you're too big for that character, you're too skinny for that character. Like, I'm not. Like, look at me, I'm tubby. I've not got the refrigerator physique that Fred does. I've not got the muscles for Hawkeye. It's not like, I totally get why you decided to do that. If that made you feel more comfortable. It's actually partially why I don't love cosplaying. Like, I love the experience of cosplaying as Spider-Man for kids' parties. I don't love wearing that suit for that reason. It makes the things that should look small big, and it makes the things that should look big small. Yeah. Yeah. See, I think it goes further than, like, yes, it's escapism, but it's also like, it's our way of making friends. It's our way of giving back to the community. A lot of cosplayers do charity work. A lot of cosplayers do kids events. It's our way of understanding the world around us. A lot of things, a lot of media, no matter if it's made for kids or adults, is incredibly political. And therefore cosplaying it is a statement. It's our way of understanding it. The way we grow up with media informs our experience with the real world. So yes, it's escapism, but I think it goes deeper than that. Others, yes, you would hope you don't have to worry about being mocked at cons. There obviously is the minority. But yes, it's usually an incredibly wholesome place, and we want to keep it that way. Yeah, see, that's a tricky film for Ryan Reynolds a lot. It's the same thing when I'm writing for Marvel and DC. Yeah, and when you're writing for these things, again, these characters are a reflection on the socio-political world. If you want to get really deep into it, so Superman was a socialist when he got created. He didn't fight big aliens. He fought corrupt businessmen, abusive husbands, capitalists. Scooby-Doo is very anti-capitalist in a way. All the villains are rich people, greedy, looking for monetary value. They drive around a hippie van in the 60s. Come on. So it's like, yeah, these things are there's a reason why fictional media matters so much, and it's more important than, like, yes, it's escapism, and that should be respected, but I think it does go deeper than that. Like Superman, yeah. Hi, Spectre. Hey, Spectre's another example of a cosplayer. So where was I? So when it comes to choosing your character, yes, you should do what you want to do. You should do something you're going to be passionate about, or you should do something, do things as a favor, dress up as characters that maybe you're not so passionate about, but as a favor for your friend, because it'll mean the world to them. But anyway, you're going to have a great experience as a group costume. Understand the logistics of the character you're choosing, and yeah, it's so yeah, the logistics of, like, when you're choosing a character, sorry, stay on the subject, you shouldn't have to worry about, I'm not muscular enough, I'm bigger than this person is, I'm smaller than this person is, I'm shorter, I'm taller, whatever it is. It's about the love of the game. It's about the love of the character. It shouldn't matter. I think you do have to be careful is, obviously, there is a huge difference between a person of color cosplaying a conventionally white character and a white person cosplaying a conventionally person of color. It can be done, but I think you have to understand that a white Black Panther is slightly problematic, I would argue. Again, other people have different takes on this. and I feel like it shouldn't have to be said, but apparently it super does. Don't do blackface. Don't do race face. Obviously. Have an understanding about the political reasons behind not doing certain... Like, I won't cosplay Black Panther. It's a super awesome character. Just don't feel comfortable doing it. Just don't think that's my character to do. That's just... Again, other people will draw certain lines. For some reason, anime characters seem... Even though they're typically coded as Japanese and come from Japan, they're kind of... I don't know. Everyone's going to have their own lines. For some reason, that doesn't seem egregious, but me cosplaying Black Panther does. I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, it absolutely does boost confidence. So yeah, the logistics. So say you want to do... let's take an example, a really cool example I saw. Like, I'm a Hawkeye cosplayer. I've got he's my favorite superhero. Questions. Do you have to be screen accurate when executing your costume? Absolutely not. If you want to be screen accurate, that is awesome. The times where screen accuracy will pay off. A is recognizability. Like, it'll be more recognizable if you do a completely screen accurate. It'll be kind of more impressive in a sense. Two, if you're doing the cosplay competitions, they do seem to care a lot about that. Unless you sort of specify this is a custom version of this character or whatever. From what I've heard, they really do care about that. It being a one-to-one sort of comparison. But if you're just doing it for fun, and if you're not competing, and you're not... And that's how I recommend doing it. Hell no, you don't have to. Do you want it? Awesome. Go for... I mean, this is a reasonably screen-accurate costume in the fact that, you know, the colour scheme's all there. You know, there's nothing sort of added or taken away from this costume. But again, this is an easy one. Hawkeye. It's not screen accurate at all. In fact, I'm working on Red Robin at the moment from DC Comics, Tim Drake, and I'm already thinking of adding bits to his helmet and additions and changing up little things just to make it more my taste. You can totally do that. My Hawkeye has goggles attached to it. I did the comic helmet, so I got that 3D printed. With the wings on it, but I also have the MCU jacket, but then even then I painted it more purple. So, no, you don't have to be screen accurate. Best things to think about with your character are, for me, what are like the key parts of this character that make it this character. For Hawkeye, the colour purple and bow and arrow. Like, that's all you need. If you've got those two elements, you're Hawkeye. Whether or not you're in a t-shirt and have a toy bow, or if you have the full MCU gear that you bought, like whatever it is, or you've fully made it, that's awesome. Either way, I saw a really cool Hawkeye cosplay that was done really effectively, and it was so beautifully simple. It was the Hawk, it was the t-shirt with a target on it, the purple target on it. They had all the bandages and cuts, because in the comics he's constantly covered in like tape and band-aids and bandages. So she had that, and she had the bow. And immediately recognizable character. And such a really cool way of doing it. Yeah, see, I'm gonna get on... So, the masks is an interesting one. I love wearing it to an extent. Especially if I'm doing the kids' parties, because it hides your face and therefore is more... there's more suspension of disbelief. Like if I'm doing Captain America, I do like to have the helmet on. Because I'm still not going to look like Chris Evans. But it's going to hide me more, and there's more suspension of disbelief. Obviously when you're fully hidden like Darth Vader, obviously kids can really suspend disbelief, and adults as well. But it's not as... not as comfortable. And that's the thing. So you've selected your character and you've decided, hey, I don't necessarily either have the budget or the desire to do fully screen accurate. So think about that. Think about what is functional about this character. So say, a good example for this is my Thunderbird 4 costume. Now, for reference, Thunderbird 4 in Thunderbirds is the underwater one. It's the submarine. And what I love about the reboot design of Gordon, the pilot or the Aquanaut, is his suit looks like a wetsuit. It's got a scuba tank attached and everything like that. So when I did that costume, I actually got a scuba tank and I got a wetsuit. So it would be like and it didn't really matter about screen accuracy to me. It meant like as long as things were in the color scheme and the vibes were there, that mattered more to me. Yeah, like the mask definitely helps with that. The mask definitely helps with the shyness. One thing to think about though, and I'm gonna show you a good example. Again, from Star Wars, this guy here, Kit Fisto. Because this... Sorry, I'm scrolling up, I'm just checking them. I'll come back to... Yeah, because of it, yeah, the bullying sucks, Fives. I'm really sorry to hear that. Yeah, that one's rough. And there are toxic elements, and I want to talk about the sort of toxic elements in a second. But just coming back to, my friend as a joke said, we decided to do Star Wars, my friend as a joke said, you should do Kit Fisto. And I went, ha ha ha, oh wait. Now, I am extremely proud of this costume. I decided I didn't want a rubber mask, like the rubber mask, A, because it's expensive, B, I couldn't find one that would deliver on time, but mostly I didn't want a mask covering up. That's just my preferred thing. I don't like a mask that covers here. That makes me feel really suffocated. I don't really even like doing Spider-Man that much just because I've got the full mask on. It's just a preference. I prefer like a Captain America, my Hawkeye helmet, because I can breathe. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to cut that bit out when I do the Kit Fisto, and I'm going to paint my face green. And therefore I've got the... I know. Yeah, absolutely, Chris. It is absolutely harmless, and people tearing each other down, it's just not what it's meant to be about. So when I did Kit Fisto, I was like, cool, I have... Because this is the thing, when you're cosplaying and when you really love a character, we sometimes forget very important things like being able to breathe, being able to see, hear, talk, walk. Things that should be important, we forget to factor in. We wear shoes that are the wrong size, we wear costumes that are not weather appropriate, and we'll suffocate ourselves for the art. Like, that's cosplayers in a nutshell. We're idiots. We really are. But, so I thought, I was so proud of myself, I thought when I did, where's my coat? I'm losing my tiny mind. When I did Kit Fisto, I was so proud of myself, because I thought I was being really practical. I was like, I'm going to be cost effective, I'm going to make it out of tights and stuffing, that cuts down on the cost, and I'm going to cut out that bit so I can breathe. What I didn't think about was the lenses were going to press into my skull, and because the weight of the tentacles... Now, here's the thing. I thought, stuff tight and they'll be really light on your head. Yeah, when you've got one or two of them, but even then, when Liz, my girlfriend, when she did Ayla Secura, which you can see on Instagram, I did the same method for her headpiece, and even then those two tentacles are pulling back the scrum cap that it's attached to, and it's very painful. Try having 11 of those, and now try and have it where those 11 tentacles are like dreadlocks, and they're pinning your face back, and therefore pressing the lenses into your eye sockets. So if you are doing something like that, have the eyes be further away from your face if you can. Have a bit of space, maybe a bit of padding. Not sure if I haven't seen your Obi-Wan video, Fives. I'm so sorry. I will go watch that after this. Remind me after this. But yeah, so I didn't think about my Kit Fisto costume in that sense, and it drastically affected my enjoyment of that day at con. No one's fault but mine. I was... Again, this is another piece of massive advice. If you're wearing a costume where your vision is obscured, or you're wearing heavy prosthetics, or you're even wearing... If you're wearing a costume where your vision is obscured, or you're wearing heavy prosthetics, or you're even wearing... Where your vision is obscured, or hours. Because the reality is you're going to be wearing that thing for hours at con. So dear Lord, try your costumes on beforehand and really wear it for hours on end to find out how comfortable it is, because you might have to make changes. You might have to change out the shoes. You might have to change out you might have to rethink some ideas. Dear Lord, if you're obstructing your vision, think again. I can't stress that enough. No, it's alright. I think it was possibly crashing on my end this time as well. But, for example, when I did the Red Robin costume for the Bat Family live stream, again, I had the white eyes, they were pressing in, and I was very proud of the fact that I had the white eyes, the superhero white eyes. Again, they do obscure the vision a bit. So, and same with Spider-Man. So, yeah, can you hear me now? So when I do my Red Robin cowl, again, luckily I'll have space, so it's a more 3D printed cowl rather than something that's just pressed right into my head. So I'll have a bit of space, but I may not do the white eyes. So anyway, I had tentacles where my ears should be. I had a massive headache. And I felt like I was, even though I had thought about that and I could breathe, I didn't feel like I could breathe. So I massively affected my enjoyment of that con. That being said, super impressive costume, I think, personally, if I do say so myself. I actually think it looks great, and people thought it looked great at con. I got a lot of really lovely experiences, a lot of feedback, a lot of people taking photos of me. Even though it's such an obscure character, I think people just enjoyed that fact that I was that ambitious. I chose such an ambitious character to do. I'm super proud of that, and it's still the costume that I'll wear if I ever get invited to do Star Wars events. If I get, there's a Star Wars charity event like the wedding we did for May the 4th, Kit Fisto was my go-to, and my lovely girlfriend dressed up as Ayla Secura, which meant per her she had to wear tentacles on her head as well and be blue. Luckily she had her face, so she kind of had to be my handler that day. So that's the thing, if you are obstructing your vision, if you are doing armor, if you're obstructing your mobility, have someone who is in an easier costume or isn't cosplaying that can be your handler, that can help you around the con or help you around the event and help you get in and out of it. Following up, also make sure, if you can, make sure your costume goes in 2 pieces, top and bottom, so you can pee and poo. And I know that's gross, but dear Lord, have you ever tried getting out of a wetsuit or a onesie in a rush when the zipper's on the back? Jesus Christ. That is not easy. Now try getting out of full armor. So... yeah, that's a silly piece of advice, but a very important one. If you can, make sure you can go to the bathroom. That's another thing. If your character has different coloured hands, like blue hands, green hands, whatever, if you can, instead of body painting it, use gloves. Use gloves, and if you need to put fake nails on it to make them look more like hands, great. There's a bit of advice for you, because then you can take them off, you can wash your hands. Yeah, we're a bit of advice. Plus, you know, you can touch things. You're not gonna get paint everywhere. If you're not gonna get paint on your prop, on the rest of your cosplay. Yeah, that's actually some really good advice. If your character has blue skin or green skin or whatever, if you can get away with it, use a bodysuit where you can. Use gloves where you can. That was possibly something we should have thought about more with Liz's Ayla Secura costume, rather than having to paint her hands blue. To be fair, it looked great. But yeah, anyway, that's just some advice. So execution of your cosplay. Once you've decided on your character and you've understood, okay, I want to do this really ambitious character or whatever, just think about, are you... I have that problem with Vader and all. Yeah, I imagine you would, and that's kind of why I thought, like, again, awesome cosplays. Not easy to maneuver in, and not easy to see in, hear in, all those things. So just be aware. Just be aware of those limitations and how that might affect your con experience or your event experience. It's actually a major reason that I don't, other than the cost, that I don't do, mascot costumes. Because I do kids' parties, right? And I do, characters like Spider-Man, Captain America, superheroes, all that good stuff. What I don't do, and what I have been asked a few times, hi David, is to do, for fuck's sake. What I don't do is things like Paw Patrol or those big mascot costumes. Even when I do Woody from Toy Story, I do just a cosplay, so my face is showing. And I get that limits the suspension of disbelief that you could get compared to a big mascot costume. But have you ever tried, actually running a party in that? I remember I did Iggle Piggle. That's not a costume that I bought. It was a costume that was owned by the company I worked for. And it was weird that it was a 1-year-old party, so the kid had no idea what was going on. The parents wanted Iggle Piggle, so I was Ignatius G. Pigglesworth himself. That's not Iggle Piggle's name. I've decided that's Iggle Piggle's name. Ignatius G. Pigglesworth. Because I like to know the backstory of my character, so I decided to give him one. But yeah, that was horrifying for a couple of reasons. A, because I couldn't see shit. B, because I didn't have dexterous hands. I had big mitts. But maybe the thing that made that costume more horrifying is the fact that when I went to put it on, the zipper broke. Minutes before I had to come out and do the party. So my boss had to staple me into the costume. Hi Sammy, I'm good, I hope you're doing well. Yeah, so my boss had to staple me into the costume, which was some Five Nights at Freddy's bullshit. Well, that's how it felt. Anyway, so I had this child, I had the baby in my arms as Iggle Piggle. I can't feel or see if the child's in my arms. I'm petrified of dropping this baby. And the baby keeps reaching under the helmet, the mask. And I'm like, if that kid knocks off Iggle Piggle's mask, it's game over. Because Iggle Piggle's then going to have a really disgusting fleshy skeleton inside. And that's going to horrify all the children. So that's kind of why I don't do the big mascot costumes. Like, I have so much... I guess respect is a strong word. I am amazed by the furry community. Slightly disturbed, but that's a whole... do what you want. It's valid. But I don't know why. I don't know why the furry community still has that reputation in my head. It probably shouldn't, to be honest. I'm sure they're all, I don't know. Anyway, the heat. You have no idea if you've never worn one of those mascot costumes, if you've never been Peppa Pig or something like that for a party, if you aren't a furry, you don't understand the heat that you feel inside it. I have no idea how Disney actors do it. I really don't. They are in the sweltering heat of like Florida and California, and they're wearing those things. I don't know how they do it. They must have shifts to not be in them long. I hope they're not in them hours on end. I can't imagine they could be without it being a health and safety issue, because you do want to pass out in those things. But also, when I do kids' parties, I want to make sure I have mobility, visibility, and I can talk to the kids. So that's important because that means I can run activities. So if I can use my hands, my eyes, and my mouth, I'm all good. Thank you for the tiny dinosaur. So yeah, so that means I can run activities. So when I do Spider-Man, I take a wee web shooter activity. When I do Woody from Toy Story, I do what I call the snake in my boot race, where you have to see how many of the toy snakes you can run and put in my boot. Silly activities like that, and that's a lot more limiting if you're wearing the mascot costumes. Again, people who wear the mascot, also those costumes cost £1,000 or something crazy like that. Thank you, very much appreciated. So much appreciated. But anyway, so understand the con experience you're going to have depending on the cosplay. As I've said, if you're in a really recognizable cosplay, you're going to have a different experience to if you're doing an obscure cosplay. But maybe if you are recognized even once in the obscure cosplay, it'll mean the absolute world, because it's such a niche thing. And if you want kids coming up to you and get voted, if that's sort of what makes it magical for you, I mean, that's why I do Santa, it's magical, then that's a reason to do a kid-friendly character. If you don't want that, maybe just mentally prepare yourself for that if you are still going to do a kid-friendly character. Also, kids are into some weird shit. Like, kids are into horror stuff, like Huggy Wuggy. Kids are into Five Nights at Freddy's. Kids are into shit they shouldn't be into. Kids are into Has-Been Hotel. That's fucked. That's a special level of fucked. But that's, you know. So anyway. Also understand that the con experience will change if you're doing a group costume compared to if you're doing a single costume. I think people really get a kick out of the group costumes and they really enjoy them, so a lot of times you might get... But also, don't be worried if you don't have certain characters in your group, because you're always going to get those arseholes who are like, where is your Cyborg if you're doing Teen Titans? Where is your... where's your Daphne if you're doing Scooby-Doo, right? Or whatever it is. You're always going to get those folk. And the best way to, I guess, combat that is just be like, find them at the con. Because there's a good chance those characters might be at the con. Go to the meetups. Or if there's not a meetup for that theme, usually there's a Marvel meetup, a Disney meetup, anime meetup. Usually it might even be split into different anime shows. One Piece, all that good stuff. Anime's big. I don't watch a lot of anime, but the cosplays are big, and you get a lot of cool meetups and cool photo opportunities doing it. But if there's not that, then organise it. So I organised we Scooby-Doo one with the Mystery Machine. Do you just like... as I say, it's partially an escape. I think it's a little more than that. I think it's our way of saying, this character means so much to me, for whatever reason. Because I grew up with it, because I really enjoyed it. The show, because this character, I see a lot of myself in the character, whatever it might be. And it's a way of, A, showing your love for that character. It's a love letter to that media. and that art. It's a way of expressing or scratching some artistic itches. Like it's something to do. It's something to engage with in the evenings after work. But also it's a way of making friends, and that it's a really social activity, especially when you do the conventions, especially when you do charity work. Uh, no, that's fair. A big part of it is escape from reality. Like a big part of it is like I want to pretend to be a superhero. Like there is that childish element of it that we haven't grown out of since we were kids, and I never will. I'm dressed as a kid's character right now, and I will never grow out of that. That's just not till I'm dead. Because it just makes me happy. But I think it does go deeper. It's very sociable. Like if you want to make friends, two ways to make friends that are extremely nerdy but extremely effective. Make or play Dungeons and Dragons or cosplay and go to cons. Extremely nerdy. Oh, nice. 27. Yeah, I'm 27 as well. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, again, Pokemon. It's a big thing. Was like playing games is a great outlet. I'm not much of a video gamer myself, but I absolutely see how effective video games are at so many things. Entertainment, for one thing. But puzzle solving, they keep that active. They keep these active. They are just fun. Again, Pokemon's a great world because it's kind of escape from reality. Pokemon's great. But again, if you ever were to cosplay, Pokemon's a great one. Easy costumes as well. The trainers, Ash, or that's a really easy, iconic costume to do. And you can do it really cost effectively. So if you ever did want to get into it, Pokemon's a great place to start. And again, has transcended generations. Obviously, our generation grew up with it because it was coming out. Sort of millennials, Gen Zers, and now Gen Alpha are all playing Pokemon because it's still coming out. And can still recognise Pikachu and things like that. And I think that's really cool. And that's why I love Scooby-Doo. Or as part of it, is it means a lot to a lot of people. And you get really lovely community experiences. So, yeah. So, you've selected your character. You've gone to the con. Make sure you aren't having the attitude of... can I tell you a story? Yeah, absolutely. I will always be happy to hear a story about Scooby-Doo. Yeah, have a great night. Thanks, James. So, like, say you have, say you're doing Harley Quinn. Lots of people are going to be doing that, and don't be shitty about it. You don't own that character. No one owns that character, and more have the attitude of, that's so cool. That person's doing the same character I am. When your girlfriend... Oh, well, congratulations to you and your girlfriend. I hope parenthood is treating you well. Oh, Scooby-Doo is scary. It's designed to be scary. Like, even now, like... Captain Cutler's Ghost is my favourite Scooby-Doo villain because it's legitimately scary. The sort of the sound design, the glowing the glowing sort of ominous feeling, the idea of being trapped underwater. There's so many effective things. Scooby-Doo is so effective for that, and it's so good. No, Scooby-Doo, like, I mean, have you seen Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island recently? That thing is nightmare fuel. It's brilliant. It's the best Scooby-Doo film out there, but it's terrifying. So, yeah, whatever you did. Now, if you are... This is where I think the cosplay community can get a bit toxic in different ways. Personally, oh god, that movie, I had to have a nap during it because that movie made me so angry. And that sounds pathetic, but it's so true. That movie made me so angry and so exhausted by its nonsense that I had to have a nap and a beer to continue watching it. I went for a beer and I came back and there were fucking dinosaurs in that film. What the fuck? Yeah, that movie was barely a Scooby-Doo movie. That was a Blue Falcon movie. I fucking hate Blue Falcon. I don't compete when it comes to cosplay, but I am going to share the things to consider. If you are cosplaying for the competitions, major things that do matter in a way that don't matter to me personally are craftsmanship and screen accuracy. How about the Velma one? Different. Well, they have Norville. Velma can't. Velma's a difficult one because it could be saying something. It could be I'm just to cut anything off at the pass. I'm massively I'm pro diversity, love woke stuff, absolutely love it. Anyway, Velma isn't that. It looks like it should be. It tries to dance near these subjects, but it backtracks so quickly on anything, and then will make the opposite joke. It will heel turn on any political point it makes, and therefore completely diminishes the point of even having those political messages in it. Plus, it's not very funny. That's the truth of it. The jokes are really fucking late. All the jokes are the same structure. All the jokes are similes. They're lazy similes. There's no variety to the jokes, and sometimes it just goes for shock value, and that's just not my cup of tea at all. I think theoretically there is a way to do Scooby-Doo in an adult way well. In fact, one of the ways that kind of does it well, it's not brilliant, it kind of falls off, is Scooby Apocalypse. There's some really fun ideas in that, and yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like if you've never read that. That also does the psychopathic Scrappy thing better than either the live action movie or Velma. Sorry, just muting assholes. Right, there we go. So yeah, if you're competing, that is where things like screen accuracy will come in, and craftsmanship. You know, they are really looking. Those are officially licensed comics. They are looking at your sewing. They are looking at if you've got glue strands or anything like that, and it all matters. It really matters. And also, you can't have bought elements now. You know, it is a craftsmanship challenge more than it is a popularity contest of the character or whatever. I'm going to get on to that in a second about when that's not been the case, and it's actually kind of pissed me off, even though I don't compete really. So that's when it's like, oh, if you're going to compete and if you are in that scene, then you probably do have to care more about here's a pro tip, and I'm a massive hypocrite here, but I'm going to give you advice that I don't follow myself in hopes that you will be better cosplayers than I will. Learn to fucking sew. I can't sew. I hot glue gun everything I can, and sometimes it looks a bit shit because of it. And some things don't hot glue well, like fucking silicone. Learn to sew. And sew properly. Because my Thunderbirds costumes are rough looking. Because I didn't sew them properly. Anyway, that's when it'll matter, and don't take credit for, if you are doing that, if you are competing, don't buy or commission something and take credit for it. That's just kind of shitty. But where this kind of fell apart for me was the only time I have done a cosplay competition, if you like. I went into it completely knowing that I was doing it for, to quote my girlfriend, for the purposes of shits with intent to giggle. I wasn't taking, and it was the Comic-Con after party. It was the Comic-Con Scotland after party last year. And I was wearing this cosplay. I was wearing Fred from Scooby-Doo, and I had my Scooby-Doo toy. I had this cheeky chappy, and that was it. That was my costume. And the reason I was wearing that is so I could have a good time at that con. Because the last year I did Kit Fisto and was really uncomfortable, so I learned that, and also I was having a really depressing time. I was dealing with a lot of shit from ex-friends of mine now. I was dealing with the fact that my flat had a massive leak in it, so I was homeless, so I didn't have time to craft an excellent costume. I went lazy so I could just enjoy my day. And this is essentially my normal clothes. I'm going to go out to karaoke dressed like this tonight, because fuck it. So I went like this to the Comic-Con. Now this Comic-Con after party was a bit of a shit show. If you were there, you know what I'm talking about. For example, the convention itself is out near the airport. The after party was in Leith. Most people are staying at the hotel near the airport. You were putting the after party... Now, first of all, they were going to have the after party at Attic, like they did the year before. It took people who live in Edinburgh to be like, guys, you know Attic closed a year ago, right? And you know why it probably closed? Is because we went on Saturday night. We did not have the place booked out for the after party, as I found out when we went. We had the back room. The place was so empty, we ended up taking over the entire club. We had a lightsaber fight on the dance floor. So that shows how empty the fucking place was on a Saturday night. No wonder it closed down. Anyway, at least that location was in the centre of town. That made more sense. That was an easy bus or tram ride. The after party this year was a tram ride and then a trek into the depths of Leith. And I live in Leith, and even this venue was too Leith for my liking. It's an old abandoned, it's called the Biscuit Factory. It's an old abandoned factory warehouse type thing. Honestly, we should have been taken in there with bags over our heads and handcuffed to chairs. It looked like a place you get kidnapped in. This was not a trendy nightclub. It was a warehouse. We turn up in full cosplay in the middle of Leith, and we think, oh no, we've either got the wrong venue, although I'm pretty sure we don't, or other people just decided better of it and never came. Luckily, we were there so early that other people did turn up. It ended up being a really good night, but only because we all decided we had to make the best of the situation. It was a shit. I mean, there was a child collecting glasses. I assume they were a child belonging to one of the staff members, but, like, that seems illegal. In a place serving alcohol, but also just, like, that's child labour. That's fucked. This was, like, 10 o'clock at night to, like, you know, this kid should have been in bed. What the fuck? That was crazy. Anyway, what a weird experience. Anyway, my point is, that is the only time that I decided, fuck it, I will join in on this cosplay competition, because the prize was something still, it was still of monetary value. It was 2 tickets to next year's con. So that's still a prize of about £100 worth of monetary value. Right? There were some nice things about this. It was just a bit of fun. You signed up, you put your name on the list, you said what character you were, and the DJ was really good. The DJ put on themed music for each cosplayer. So I got to come on to the Scooby-Doo music and sing along and get the crowd singing along to the Scooby-Doo theme song. And I was in a nice iconic costume that everyone recognised. Cool. Awesome. That was exactly the experience I wanted from doing that. I didn't want to win. I had no intention, and I knew I shouldn't win. I was in a costume that was essentially normal clothes. It was lazy. It didn't have any craftsmanship to it. None at all. Everything was bought. Bought elements. Jeans, jumper, ascot, Scooby-Doo toy, right? Any other cosplay competition, you'd be laughed out of the... Hi, how's it going? Just wondering if you could give a shout out to me. Hi, Aiden. Hi, Aiden. Thank you for joining. But anyway, so there were people at that after party. One person, I swear, I think they were Green Lantern. They had LED lights going into their costume. Awesome, like, yeah, their costume glowed, for God's sake. There was people dressed as Batman and people dressed as like Stranger Things characters. But anyway, so much more craftsmanship, so much more effort to those costumes. What was the judges' lineup of 3 sort of contenders for the winner? Me, a group of people who, and this is no shade, I understand exactly why these people were in those costumes, were in Spider-Man, just bought Spider-Man costumes, and there was one guy who was in a sort of awesome jumpsuit with like and here's the thing, I didn't 100% get his costume, but you could tell there was craftsmanship, right? I think it was like, from what I understand, I heard the name Kal-El, so it must have been some version of Superman, but it was from a version of Superman that wasn't like the blue tights and the cape or whatever. It was, I think, because it had the S on it. I think they said Kal. Anyway, it was neon. It glowed. The S glowed. It was like neon paint, and he had makeup on. Like, he'd obviously put in a lot of effort and love to this costume, right? Anyway, sorry. So that was the lineup, right? And it was very, very clear to me what had happened there when I got called up to be one of the winners, or potential winners. I was like, oh, this isn't a competition about the cosplay. This is a popularity contest, or it is simply that's the costumes that the judges recognize, the DJ and the guy running it recognized. Which it shouldn't be about that. But I was like, fine, as long as the guy who has put effort into his costume and has made it and does some craftsmanship, as long as he, like, there were so many better deserving people who didn't get into that, like, lineup, like the Green Lantern guy, a couple of others, right? My friend who decided not to enter, but like his should have, he should have done, because he had when Moon Knight has the white suit, the Mr. Knight suit, and he made the mask, it was awesome, right? Those were the kind of people who should have been in that lineup, right? And I was like, oh, that's a bit, like, I should be happy that I could win this, but I don't want to win this. Like, this is not going to feel good if I win this. And you know how they decided who won? By loudest cheers. So naturally, again, the crowd are going to pick the ones that they recognise, right? Thankfully, so the people in the Spider-Man suits got like a moderate cheer. I got a really loud cheer, and I know why I got the cheer, because when my song came on and everyone recognised the Scooby-Doo, I sang along and I got everyone singing along. So I managed to do a bit of crowd work. That is probably why, nothing to do with the costume itself, but more just to do with like the performance, I guess. The crowd work and the iconography of the costume and nothing to do with the craftsmanship, right? And I got a huge cheer. Luckily, so did the other guy who had I think was Superman. Again, if anyone was there, please correct me if I'm wrong on that, with the character. Again, didn't quite get the costume, but it was awesome, and we got the same amount of cheers. And I was like, oh no, like, I could genuinely win this against someone who's actually put an effort to this. That would feel really shitty. So thankfully, I think that's when the judges maybe like saw sense, and maybe the crowd saw sense, and thankfully justice prevailed, and the guy, Superman won. Right? Sorry, just but that's the only time. So that's what I don't like about, and this is like when I run the Halloween parties at work for the kids and stuff like that. Like, I'm not giving your kid the prize if you bought your costume. I'm just not. Like, bought costumes are totally valid. They're a totally valid way of cosplaying, but don't enter them into a cosplay or a costume competition, even if it's a kids one. I just think that's kind of shitty against the people who have actually put in loads of like work and effort into their costumes. The people who, like the parents and the kids who have been at the kitchen table with paints and glue and all that good stuff. So that's where it's like, oh, that should absolutely win. So that's my philosophy with that. It shouldn't be a popularity contest, and it shouldn't be about how recognizable or how much you like that character as a judge. It should be, but that and luckily the actual costume competitions at cons are like that. That being said, I personally don't like how sort of toxic they are, and there's a lot of drama behind it and things like that. So it's like, it's worth avoiding, and also it's just kind of dull. Like, again, at Capital Sci-Fi Con, we went on stage just to do the Scooby-Doo gang. Again, not intending to win. In fact, we were guests at the con. I don't think we could have won. But just go across the stage and... But just standing in the queue for that, we lost interest. We were like so sick of it. Poor Daphne in our go-go boots. Yeah, what gave it away? Yes, I do like Scooby-Doo. Poor Daphne in her go-go boots. Yeah, I don't know. Cosplay competition, not my thing. Anyway, I think a lot of that is my like con advice given out is understand the con experience, understand that different costumes will yield different results at the con, or you'll have different popularities and things like that, and you'll have different experiences. But yeah, when it comes, I'm trying to think, when it comes to crafting, what advice I have. So I gave out my massive piece of advice. Someone asked the question, how do you do foam costumes? How do you do foam costumes? And I said, rubber paint the foam, so therefore the spray paint won't get eaten up by the holes in the foam. And it makes a huge difference. Other crafting things, leather paint is more effective if you're doing, I'll show you a good example. This is kind of a cosplay, but kind of just like for my role-playing character. So this is leather paint on this leather jacket, and it's shockingly pigmented. So for how dark the jacket is, that is shockingly pigmented leather paint, and is really effective. And I did that on my Murdoch jacket for the A-Team as well. So if you've got shoes that you're painting, use leather paint. It'll not only show up better, but it won't be as rough to the touch as acrylic paint. It won't flake like acrylic paint because it's made to go on leather. That's some good advice there. So don't be afraid to modify stuff you're getting, right? Oh my god, I really want to do Scottish Avengers is one of the things I really want to do. So I want to paint my Iron Man suit orange and blue so he can be Iron Brewman. I really want to make that sketch. I've been dying to make that sketch all year, but because of all the stuff going on with my flat over the last year, and then now I've just been like in a situation where I've been busy with other things. I've been busy doing... I think I'm going to have to wait because like it's expensive doing the cosplay project we do, where we do a quiz every single week. So if you're unfamiliar with what we do here, we do a quiz every single Sunday, 7 p.m. UK time. Oh, you're doing Out of Actual Amber? Wow, that's cool. That's going to be uncomfortable, man. But that is so cool. I can't wait to see that. That's so funny. Yeah, I wanted... So yeah, it's expensive doing the live stream, so I probably will have to wait. Like that Iron Man suit's so expensive that I couldn't just order another one. But my reluctance is to paint that one. I did such a intense job painting that one red and gold. I don't want to now have to paint it blue and orange, and then possibly have to reverse it to get Iron Man back. In a perfect world, I'd just have another one that I could paint in Iron Brew colours, but that involves spending another almost £1,000 on an Iron Man suit. I don't want to do that. Are you doing a Star Wars quiz again? Probably not for the weekly format, just because we've already done Star Wars twice. The engagement wasn't great on the Star Wars one that we did back in May. I don't know what it... I mean, Fives joined, but like... But but also we've done that theme twice now. We did it way back for the 3rd ever stream we did, and then we did it for number 75, quiz number 75. So it will probably not get done again. However, that being said, if folk want to cosplay as Star Wars characters for the finale one, we're going to try and get as much guests on as we can for that one. Here's the thing, like, join us for the 100 live stream and come on as a... But also, I'm thinking in the new year, doing a quiz once a month, if you're interested. So that will give us like more time. So it'll be like one a month, and we'll sort of time it for the, like, you know, for example, like a good example, December we'll do sort of Christmas ones. For October we'll do Halloween films or whatever. But I can put more effort into each costume and do multiple costumes like I do with some of the weekly ones, but and get more guests because I'll have an entire month to plan rather than a week. When you're doing the weekly format, it's really hard to keep up and continue putting in huge amounts of effort and getting guests and stuff like that. So that's what I might do. So at the moment we have most of the... What are we on? Next week will be quiz 85. So we have, 16 more streams to go for until we get 100. And then the weekly format will stop. So we're going to hit 100 because that's a nice round number. That'll really cement... That's almost 2 years just to recover. But then maybe come back swinging in January. I really want to finish... I need to finish that Doctor Who project. My exhaustion has been hitting me like a freight train lately, and I want to make sure that when I do the Doctor Who... Like, I tried to make it so I would release it weekly, but doing the weekly live stream costumes and the weekly Doctor Who costumes became so expensive and so daunting that my executive dysfunction and finances just took a massive hit. Oh, nice. Hi, Baller. So hence why the Doctor Who videos haven't been that regular. So now I'm just kind of the philosophy of I will make the Doctor Who videos when I have the energy, because I don't want to half-ass the performances, because obviously for those ones I'm really trying to pretend to be the Doctors, like I'm playing the Doctors, I'm trying to do different voices for each one, I'm trying to recreate the regenerations with my terrible editing, but I'm really putting an effort to those. So not only do I want the like for the Christopher Eccleston one, my costume wasn't that great. I was really proud of the editing, but my costume wasn't great. Like, but I just decided I'm just going to get it out there. I'm just going to use the leather jacket that I have and get it out there. Just to get the new Who episodes cranked out. But the next one on the list is David Tennant, and spoiler alert, he's going to rank pretty high, and I want to put a lot of effort in and do that one really, really well. So I will try and finish that project soon. But there's a few costumes I've still got to buy, and that is daunting when I'm also doing the weekly format. So it may be the Doctor Who project goes on longer than the weekly format. I'm going to try not to let it go further on. But it's likely. Things like the 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, that costume, I don't have anything for that yet. The next two I do have stuff for. I do have the David Tennant, I don't have anything for that yet. The next two I do have stuff for. I do have the David Tennant. The next two I do, and cuddling up in bed with her, rather than doing things. Are you going to the OctoberCon? Yes, we are going to Comic-Con Scotland. My friends and I are doing Bat Family. So like Batman, Robin, things like that. I'm going to do Tim Drake as Red Robin. In fact, I'll show you what I have been working on. My friend is doing Cassandra Cain, Black Bat. So I made this I bought a 3D printed bat helmet, but then modified it. So that's what I've been working on. Yes, that would be amazing. I'd love to meet up. That would be fantastic. So yeah, anyway, so that's what I've been working on recently, is our Bat Family costumes. Yeah. Very excited. But anyway, so I'm working on Red Robin, and then the second day I'm going to do Lord of the Rings, and possibly meet Sean Astin, because my character is, my costume is Samwise Gamgee. So I thought it made sense to meet Sean Astin dressed as Samwise Gamgee. And hopefully Sebastian, who is our Scooby in the group, is doing Aragorn, and his girlfriend Olivia, who's Velma, is going to do Arwen. Our Daphne is hopefully going to do Galadriel, I believe. So, yeah, so that one's going to be fun as well. I'm excited for that. I'm really excited for the Bat Family one. My girlfriend has very kindly joined. Some folk from work are joining for that one, who... But yeah, I'm very excited for... I'm doing my Star Wars OC. Ooh, I'll have to pick your brain about the Star Wars OC. That's cool. That's really cool. That's another thing that I didn't talk about, was OCs when it came to cosplay. I was obviously working on the assumption that everyone was going to be cosplaying as sort of established characters, but I have done a few OCs in my time. In fact, before my phone dies, I can show you one. So a great excuse to do OCs is to do D&D. That's a great way to come up with OCs, is cosplay as your D&D or your role-playing characters. So this is the one. This is my main one. So in a game called Delta Green that I played, my character was called Duck Francis, and he was a pilot. So I decided to get a jacket and paint a duck on it. Yeah, UK prices are mental for Coke. It's the sugar tax, isn't it? Oh man, that's so cool. So yeah, Duck Francis is one of my OCs. And then recently, my girlfriend and I have brought Duck back to life, in a sense, by playing Sims, of all things. And we made Duck, and he ended up getting pregnant by aliens and having an alien daughter called Goose. So we have Duck and we have Goose. Our Sims game's weird, so that's one of them. So if anything, Liz is more attached to Duck and Goose than I'm. And then the other one was I did a masks, basically D&D, but in a superhero world, and my character was Drop Bear, based on evil koalas. Original character, our own character, yeah. So think of like furries doing like their own characters, or as Spectre says, pick a franchise, but instead of doing an established character, you do your own character. So, in a similar way that you'd write a Dungeons and Dragons character, you do that and you cosplay that, which is really awesome. Again, if you are doing that, be prepared that people may either not get your costume or mistake your costume. So that's another thing. Sometimes it's a bit disheartening if someone comes up to you and goes, "Hey, are you this character?" and you're not, and then you've got to decide, are you going to play it off as, yeah, especially if it's kids. A good example is, say you're Lapis Lazuli from Steven Universe, and someone asks if you're Sadness from Inside Out. Do you just say yeah, or do you correct them? I don't know. That's up to you. OCs are another one where it's like, do you explain, or do you just let them believe you are who? I don't know. Like, that's awesome. I'll definitely check that out. Yeah, I should do more videos about my OCs and my role-playing characters. I really want to make Duck Francis a thing. I really want to establish Duck Francis as a thing on this account. I've talked about it briefly, but I may start writing sketches based on our Sims games or something. That could be a fun series. I might ask Liz if she wants to be Goose for that. Although that would be my girlfriend and I playing father and daughter. That might be weird. Be funny though. Yeah, I can imagine. So, remind me what SCP stands for, because I can kind of picture it. But can you explain what it is exactly? Um, yeah. What's my favorite costume? Man, it's it's gonna be a really lazy answer, but it's kind of the one I'm wearing. Fred from Scooby Doo. Yeah, you can join. Hang on, my phone might die soon, but yeah. If you, so you're gonna let me do this. Hang on. So you usually, obviously,
Sharpening. So
hello.
SCP, Secure, Contain, Protect. It's based off the wiki and then the games that came after it. But it's basically an on things with powers that the government are trying to keep secret and hidden. So I do one of the security guards or the mobile task force, which is the elite of the elite, the Nine-Tailed Fox, and they're sent in for containment breaches. So if one of the anomalies break free of their containment cell, you send the Nine-Tailed Fox in. So
Ah,
that's what I do.
that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah, it sounds class.
Hello, Max.
Hello. Hello.
So yeah, we're just discussing like this life is a cosplay advice. So I've gone through choosing some of my advice is as simple as make sure you can breathe and see and hear and walk because cosplayers are kind of dumb and they forget everything.
I do that all the time because I
Yeah,
used to wear a
same.
gas
Honestly.
mask.
Yeah,
Honestly.
Kit Fisto is my big one where I was like, I'm super proud of that costume. Dear Lord, it gives me a migraine to wear though.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
No, all of my because I wear tack gear. Tack gear is like my main thing. Holy fudge! It gets warm.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was saying like I once did. It's part of the reason I don't do the big mascot costumes. Is the heat is just and you have no visibility. Like I once did it for a kids party. I was Iggle Piggle, and I had to get stapled into. And that was some Five Nights at Freddy's bullshit right there.
I was once a Teletubby, and I just like the only bit of air that I had was a kind of compartment on the where I could take a poop.
Oh god!
Aaliyah's asking Max, what is your favorite costume?
Oh, good question, Leah. I like dressing up as just like a sausage. You know, if you get a sausage costume and just lie on the floor and just pretend to be a sausage, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, you get. I mean, like the novelty costumes. That's a good way of getting photos and like getting a fun experience. Like the big inflatable dinosaurs and things like that. That's always fun to see.
Yeah, no, I think my favorite cosplay is probably my SCP cosplay that I do.
Yeah.
'Cause I've done it for so long. Like, I only started cosplaying a year ago, so
For me, like I'll show you like some of my sort of more impressive cosplays, I guess, because like in a way those are awesome, but I don't like. This is like my big sort of like this is the thing that stares at my girlfriend while she sleeps. Like this is the big thing, but this is not comfortable to wear for parties and things like that. Like it's a pain in the arse to get on. So it's like it's awesome, but when it comes like Hawkeye is my favorite superhero, so like I prefer wearing it being Hawkeye. But again, the leather, but also the bow and arrow, you get a lot more like issues with security with the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Whereas like Fred, I can essentially be wearing normal clothes. If I dye my hair, I don't have to wear a wig, and everyone recognizes the costume, and it's just super comfortable. So
I have a lot of issues with my props because a lot of the time I use pew pews.
yeah,
But I don't just have like one or I don't have just have one. I've got two. I've got the pistol, and then I've got my main one, which is an M4.
Yeah.
So, the one thing I was really surprised at is because I've also got a riot shield.
Yeah.
I've been let in with a riot shield.
This is the thing. This is actually another piece of really good advice that you sort of touched on. If you are doing characters where their main thing is the weapon, be mentally prepared that the con staff, even if you've taken all the precautions and followed every rule, they may be a bit of a taking all at you in. Like my friend last year did Negan from Walking Dead, and obviously that character, such like is Lucille is the bat, and he got the full one with the fake barbed wire, and the con staff checked it, and they let him in. We later saw another Negan. He had his taken off, and it was the exact same problem.
No, well, I mean, actually, earlier this year at Acme, we had issues with pew pews because we have the gel blasters.
Yeah.
The first day we get told that we couldn't have them, even though we knew the rules. We checked them; they were fine. So the next day we got them took off us again, and then we actually were like, "Look, mate, no, we know that we can have them." And the guy was acting all smug when he took the props off us. When we got them back, he didn't look so smug.
Yeah. That's infuriating. A, the smugness. B, the fact that he's like, it's the inconsistency of the training. Like, yes, I get that a lot of the staff are volunteers, but the security staff usually aren't. The security staff are, and I get that they're probably used to a lot, like, people smuggling in things like drugs and things to an event and stuff like that. But when it comes to cosplay, it's a different thing. And yeah, a lot of the times, people have put so much effort into these costumes, and you're really taking off the thing that makes that costume so iconic. And you have a really good reason for doing that. Like, fair enough, my Hawkeye costume, the bow and arrow is technically real. So I typically won't take that to conventions anymore, unless I replace that with a toy bow and arrow. And I've seen plenty of people do toys at cons and be fine. So like that might be something I eventually have to resort to. But that's a piece of advice. Maybe have backups for that you think will. So, like for example, for you guys, guns. Say if you have all the like black guns that are painted up to look real or whatever like that, and you get that in. If you have backup ones that are like blue or whatever, just so you've got something. Then use. I know it's not ideal, but just maybe have that contingency because you don't want to.
No, we have. We mainly use guns that are, pew pews that are brightly coloured. We use that rule because if we get caught out in the street with them, we can get in trouble. Right, that's because we are abiding by the UK government's law for imitation firearms.
And here's the thing, I totally agree with that rule being in place. It is baffling how it gets applied by the police. And I'll tell you the weird story. But like, I find it funny. Like, I'm dating an American, and I do find it funny that we have more laws about fake guns than they have about real guns. It's been said a million times, but it's fucked up. Like, she agrees. She's very anti-gun as well. But it's just funny. Anyway, I was out in town in Glasgow doing a Marvel photo shoot, and obviously I was Hawkeye, and I had my bow and arrow, and I was waiting on my girlfriend at the time, and I had her Black Widow guns in my pocket, waiting for her. The police in Central Station come up to me, they take fake guns off me, they put me the orange tip, and I'm like, okay, fair enough. They didn't take the very real bow and arrow off me.
Yeah.
And I think that sums up the police in a lot of ways.
I mean, from when I walked around Glasgow a good wee while ago, and I actually had fake katanas, but I didn't have anything to carry them in.
Yeah.
So I was sitting walking around with these katanas that looked decently real, and I walked right past the post, and one of the posts were like, "Right, mate, Right, mate?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's bizarre. Anyway, so that is something to definitely be prepared for. If you're doing characters where the iconic thing, a very important thing, is the weapon, like you did, like some kind of soldier or like Hawkeye. Be aware that the con staff may give you grief. Have a backup or have a be very ready to speak the rules and fight your case. But it's super shitty to see people walking around cons who do have their props, do have their weapons, but can't use them.
Well, when we get our pew-pews took off us, there was a guy walking around with a full metal airsoft
Yeah,
one.
yeah. This is my point, right? It is not fair, and the rules will be really difficult for this stuff. Some will just check your back and let you be on your merry way, and some will be, as you say, smug and a bit on a bit
Aye.
that's it on a power trip. I find, and that's
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, that was like, thank you for bringing that up because that is actually brilliant advice. Of which you guys will have a lot more tips. But I just thought I'd share that Hawkeye story because like the police should have been in every right to say what the fuck with the bow and arrow. They didn't give a shit, but they cared.
Aye.
They cared about the state. And again, fair enough. We're out in town. I probably shouldn't have had. I didn't really think about it. They had the orange tips. I did think about that, but I didn't think about the fact you couldn't see that in my pocket. So yeah, that was what's funny about that as well is like we thought, oh, we're dressed as the Avengers in the middle of Glasgow. We're gonna get like kids coming up to us. We kind of forgot it was Transmit Festival, so we instead we had a bunch of drunk and high adults coming up to us.
Oh.
Fun, and they were all lovely, but it made for a very different experience than we thought.
Oh yeah, no, I me at the Hydro, right? Celtic and Rangers were playing,
Ah, yeah.
and I was sitting outside with full tactical kit, my two katanas, all my props, and the amount of people would just shout over, "Yeah, give a shot of your katanas."
Yeah, I had that, and they're like, "Can I shoot your bow and arrow?" I'm like, "No, because you'll kill someone, and it'll be my fault." Yeah, it is bizarre that grown adults can be less well behaved than children.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
I mean, the truth about children is they are far more intelligent than any adult. That's the absolute truth of it. But it really sums it up when you're in that situation.
Oh yeah, definitely. Right, I am going to need to go because I am actually currently in work.
Oh God! Right. Okay. Thank you so much for joining and also sharing the stories because that is genuinely brilliant advice. And also, yeah.
Catch you later.
We'd love to have you on the live streams. Let us know. Definitely for the 100 live stream in October.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'll try and be there if I'm not working.
That'd be fantastic. Thanks.
Right.
Thanks very much. See you later. Doctor. Bye. Right. Okay. I'm probably going to call it now because A, I need to pee, and B, I kind of need to charge my phone. But I hope you guys enjoyed this cosplay advice. There's been some good engagement. Has anyone got any questions before I go about cosplay, about any advice that I can give or anyone in the chat can give about cosplay art? Be it. Oh, one thing I did want to bring up. Sorry, before I go. I was talking about the experience of being at the con, right? A big distinction to draw, and maybe this is more for like parents or non-cosplayers, because I think there's an understanding with cosplayers is we're not Disney actors, we're not face actors necessarily. Don't expect people to be in character the whole time because they are there for their own entertainment, not the guest's entertainment, if that makes sense. That being said, so like don't feel the pressure to be in character at all, especially not all day. But if a kid comes up to you and is like Spider-Man, or whoever you are, maybe put in that little bit of effort it'll mean the world to them. And I understand not everyone's comfortable with that. But if you are, you could make a kid's day. But yeah, that's just a sort of understanding of like, you're there for your own entertainment. If someone asks you for a photo while you're sat down with half your costume off, having a burger, you have every right to say, can you catch me while I'm on the convention floor? I'm having a bite to eat right now. I'm not quite ready. Again, it's kind of up to you whether you want to rush to get all your stuff on for a photo, but I would sort of say, be in your right, or if you're having a sit down, like, I think con etiquette is very much, if you see someone and they're walking around and they're, visibly taking photos, go up and ask them. Obviously, if they say no, don't do it. Don't take candids. Ask people for consent. But if you see someone sitting down, if you see someone who is having a bite to eat, try not to, or at least give them until they've, starting to finish their food. Don't wait till they're mid-burger to ask for a photo. Again, kids may not understand the etiquette. I always make exceptions for kids because you upset a kid, they will cry. But also, like, they may genuinely believe more the fact that you're the character, or they may want to believe you're the character. It's easier for me to say that as someone who does do kids' parties. It's easier for me to embrace that than someone who's like really socially awkward and shy, which a lot of cosplayers are. That might be someone's idea of hell. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that as a sort of, don't feel any pressure to stay in character. You are not your character, but if you want to be, awesome. Like, and you'll make people's day if you are doing that. Cool. I think that's all my advice. If I think of anything else, I may do another one of these live streams at some point. Thanks, guys. Bye.